sir? I need to take your phone.
Take the phone.
Now it's recording. There we go. Trying to do like 90s action movies.
What? Which are our favourite?
Well, as that thing you said that you never thought you'd feel that nostalgic about it. I think that's quite interesting on that.
Well, it was mostly the covers and the image around movies back then was different to what it is now. I feel.
Yeah.
I feel that now they actually try a little too hard to make movies an event.
Yeah, I think that's true. Stuff just happened when we were young. Like, movies just came out, and if they became big because they were good, there wasn't a hype beforehand. It was like they released a movie, and everyone started going to see it, and they really went to see it, and then it became a big thing. And you had all the news and everything afterwards. Like, people would interview people like, "Oh man, did you think it was going to be this big?" And they'd be like, "No."
I mean, I think they go overboard with the press junkets and stuff these days. You get stuff forced down your throat way too much.
Marvel have started doing this thing, and they're doing it for the Avengers. Was it Infinity War or whatever it is? The film that's
Infinity War Part 1.
Yeah, that's coming up. Where they've started doing those little stings where they tell you how good it's going to be. Like, they'll be on the set and they'll interview the actors and they're like, "Oh man, it's going to be awesome because we're filming this sequence and it's amazing." You're just like, really, really fuck off now.
I mean, I know...
I'm massively distrustful of the fact that you have to tell me it's good. It's like, that bothers me. It's like, why do you have to tell me? Surely the proof is going to be in the
I think this is something they used to do. But because media wasn't so widespread back then, I mean, you've got YouTube and all that kind of stuff now. And you get all the pop-up adverts and stuff. And you get all these trailers for trailers and teasers. I mean, where the fuck did teasers come from? There was no such thing as a goddamn teaser back in the 90s. There was a trailer, then there was the movie.
Yeah.
You didn't get, like, several teasers.
Well, we get so many versions of the trailer now as well. By the time you get to see it, you've seen the movie. The only bits you haven't seen are the bits where they're talking between the action sequences.
This is why I just don't watch trailers on the internet. If I hear about a movie... Well, like,
it's so annoying, though, because I go to the cinema, so I get them all at the beginning of the film. I'm like, I don't want to see this. I don't want to know. I'm going to see this film.
I end up blocking my ears and looking down. Just
like, the last couple of ones for, like, Wonder Woman, I've just not watched. I literally covered my face and stuff for the last few. Because we went to see Miss Peregrine's School for Wayward Reprobates or whatever it is. And literally I sat through it and I was really annoyed because I was like, I literally have seen all of this. And I'm not even exaggerating. I was literally like... And there was one scene that I remember the most where the girl says to the guy, she's like, "Oh, there's somewhere... We need to go somewhere quiet, somewhere secret, and I know exact place." And I was like, it's going to be the ship. It's going to be the bit with the sunken ship. Because I was like, it's the only bit in the trailer that we haven't seen yet. And I was right. I was like, that's the shot, because that was in the trailers and we haven't seen it yet, so it's going to be that bit.
You see, they're not really...
We'd seen every other scene. I was just like, the only bit you haven't seen is the fight with the skeletons at the end. Spoilers. And I was like, out of a 2-hour film, there's about 10 minutes I hadn't seen.
Basically, you'd seen all the plot points in the trailer.
Yeah, I was just like...
Trailer's no longer a trailer, but a summary of the movie.
It is, though. It really is. Like, there's been a bunch of movie trailers like that. The Beauty and the Beast one, the last trailer I saw for Beauty and the Beast was literally the movie condensed. Because I was just sat watching the trailer going... And because you've seen the animated one, I was like, this is literally the movie. It's all the key sequences... and in order. I was like... And then her dad goes to look for her in the woods, and he gets captured, and then this happens. I'm like, seriously? This is just the movie?
Watching the movie, yeah.
And I was like going, and we're only halfway through the trailer. What the hell else can you possibly show me at this point? It's really winding me up now.
I mean, there's the whole Sprayler thing as well, which is the spoiler trailers.
Oh, yeah.
I know it's not a great example because it wasn't a great film, but Terminator Genesis,
yeah,
the main twist in that was in the trailer.
Oh, yeah, the fact that, he's...
The fact that John Connor is
actually a robot.
Yeah. Why do that? That should have been...
a good one, thanks for that.
That should have been, like, a big twist in the film.
Do you know what I blame for this, mostly? It's because all the sort of trailers are coming from America, primarily. Like years ago, you had sort of region-specific trailers, and you'd have like different trailers for the UK and different trailers for things. But now, because like everything's kind of international because of the internet and stuff, you just get a blanket trailer on a whole. There's probably exceptions.
Well,
So you get and I hate to say it, the dumbed down American version. And I know that sounds terrible,
no,
but I can back it up with the fact that I have the box set of the Bond films, and in there they have GoldenEye. And on the GoldenEye DVD, they have like all the trailers, and they have all the ones from all over the world. And the American one tells you the entire movie to the point where you get to see the bit where Sean Bean dies, and then you get the bit where he reveals that he's the baddie. Like the scene in the with all the what you call them, communist statues in that sort of graveyard, and he steps out and he goes, "Oh, it's me, yeah." That's in the trailer.
Yeah, he shouldn't
it's
be in the
literally the whole movie.
He shouldn't be in the trailer.
And we're getting that now with all these movies. It's just like, we need to convince you it's good by showing you the film. It's like, because audiences have got no imagination anymore, and you can't go, ooh, that's mysterious. I tell you what I watched recently again as well, was the original trailer for Alien. And I watched that and just went, they would never make a trailer like this now. Ever.
Because it didn't tell you anything about the film.
Yeah, it's just people running around corridors screaming with a freaky sound played over the top of it, and then it just goes, Alien.
In other words,
space, no one can hear you scream.
In other words, it did what the trailer was supposed to do, in the sense that it gave you a taste of the atmosphere that you were about to get an experience.
You just go, fuck me, that looks horrendous.
I want to know what's going on
here. I have no idea what's happening, and it looks great. The only things you get anything like that are like low-budget trailers. For like indie films.
But the thing is, the low budget trailers, they're the kind of things you will only stumble across if you are very lucky on YouTube, because they will never appear in the actual cinema.
No.
I mean, for instance,
I saw a bunch of good ones, and it's because I googled movie trailers.
Well, for instance, that film,
I was curious to see what was, how they were doing trailers now.
That horror film Void.
Yeah.
Never heard of it.
No.
The only reason I picked it up was because of the quality of the cover.
I have seen the trailer, but it was someone who sent it to me, probably Helen, found it and sent it to me.
No, I just picked it up on the basis of the cover, and which I
didn't know it was out.
I don't usually do that, because usually that's just a trap.
Yeah.
Good cover for a film.
Proper John Carpenter / Hellraiser nastiness.
But that's, one of my rules is don't buy something unless you actually have heard about it in some shape or form. But the quality of this cover was great. But luckily for me, on this occasion, it was just a quality film. But I would never have heard about that otherwise, because I don't Google movie trailers. Occasionally I'll spot something on YouTube. But...
See, right, on this question, on the back of that, there's two that I think we need to have a look at. Optimus Prano. How about low-budget movies, worth the time, ? Both making and watching?
Well, let's answer that one first.
Yeah, and there's another one that I think ties into that as well. But
low-budget films worth watching and making? Yes.
Yeah, hell yes.
Yes.
Hell yes. Because that's where it's at these days. All the films I've seen that really scared me or really presented an idea that was interesting, even if the film wasn't that good, you went, fuck, that's cool.
There's a lot of...
all been low-budget, like, indie horror movies and stuff.
There's a lot of copycat trash out there, because people have... Like, you've got all the people who've watched Blair Witch, or more recently Paranormal Activity, and just think, found footage is where it's at.
Yeah.
And just stay away from that crap, because 9 times out of 10 it's a piece of shit. But low-budget stuff which
tries... But then you get gold, like Borderlands and stuff.
Yeah, low-budget stuff which tries something different. And actually strives to tell a different story, a unique story. They are out there. It takes a bit of effort to find them.
The Pyramid. Oh my god, The Pyramid.
Well, this is kind of undermining what I just said about found footage. Stay away from it. Those are both found footage.
But they're both really well done. But there's exceptions to all rules.
Yeah. And found footage is the easiest, cheapest, nastiest way to actually make a horror film.
Yeah.
Because you just need a camcorder, basically.
Yeah, and it also means you can kill everyone. Gives you that caveat as well. Because you have to have somebody found the tape at the end. So it means none of your characters are safe, which is kind of nice.
I always thought that the best kind of found footage films would actually be the ones which had a huge budget behind it. Because what makes it scary is applying ludicrous special effects to make it look like it's taking place in a normal setting by way of, through the lens of a video camera, like Cloverfield, the very first Cloverfield film. Yeah. That had a huge budget behind it, but when you first see it, it just looks like it's all a handycam type of thing. And that's why I like that film, because it does exactly what I wanted it to do, in the sense that it's got all the big budget special effects, but you're seeing it through the lens of a little crappy camera.
Okay, and the other one that I wanted to look at, because I think it feeds into that, is long fuse. But here's a question: what do you think about the lack of original writing in film? Everything these days is a sequel, prequel, remake, and so on. How do you think it's affecting today's audiences, both young and older? I think that ties in simply because of the fact there is original storytelling, there is original writing, it's just not happening in mainstream Hollywood.
Well, it comes down to money again. Well, and this, that,
of course it does, because mainstream Hollywood is massively an industry. Not saying that indie films aren't, but they have to rely on something else to sell it.
The key word there is industry. If they can make money by cashing in on a brand multiple times, they're going to do that.
So the reason they remade RoboCop is because they know it's going to sell. Why? Because it already did.
Yeah.
It's like RoboCop made tons of money, so we'll make it again and we'll make tons of money. As opposed to this thing that Joe Bloggs has written that may or may not make money and people might like and might not like. And also, a lot of the problems is the audiences. People are going, oh, why don't they make these films? Why is blah, blah not happening? And when they do make something individual or something different, people go, I didn't like it. And it's like, well, what do you want? So they stick with what they know.
I mean, the reason the audience goes for these things is because the reason these things are successful is because the audience supports them.
Yeah.
Which is precisely why they do it, because it is a known brand. You sort of see that and think, oh, I remember what RoboCop used to be like. I'm going to go and watch the new RoboCop.
Or another Batman film, or, a sequel to a Marvel film. Because regardless, Marvel's moved beyond the point of relying on the comics now. It's got enough films there that people go, oh, yeah, well, that was a good film by Marvel. I'll go see this one. It's got barely any connection to the comics anymore. It doesn't... I
don't think they ever really did. I mean, they glossed over certain things, like Tony Stark, rather than having an alcohol problem, he had post-traumatic stress, which worked fine, but it wasn't the comics. It would have been quite... they're not really going to put alcoholism in a Disney film.
It's interesting, though, isn't it? Because, you've talked before about DC just jumping in with Batman, Superman stuff. How they haven't done a sort of...
Not taking the time to actually introduce people to the character.
So the argument for that is that it's kind of a two-edged sword, really, because you've got... They don't have to. Everybody knows who Superman is. Everybody knows who Batman is, whether you're a fan of comics or
but not everyone knows who Darkseid is.
No, but they're working up to that.
Well, that's the thing, they're not. They're just going to introduce him. But in the Justice League film, they're just going to straight up introduce him. Whereas Thanos, who we can argue is the equivalent of Darkseid in the Marvel universe, his name has constantly been dropped ever since Avengers. He's been this entity that's been in the background who's had his name dropped. The only time
we don't know how many films there's going to be till Darkseid actually appears.
He is going to appear in Justice League, but we're talking about a future film there.
Yeah. And I had a point I was trying to make.
Sorry.
And it was that, you have got that argument that Batman, Superman, people know they are, they're an established brand. Which, allows you to do, people know what what to expect. Which has its own caveats, obviously, has its own problems because of conversations like this. But Marvel had to kind of introduce people to all their stuff because... Yeah, Iron Man's famous, but not really outside
he wasn't
of
before
comics.
The Iron Man film.
Do you know what I mean? Like, no one really knows, and no one, who the fuck are the Guardians of the Galaxy?
I confess, I never really knew much about Iron Man.
Before. Even if you're into comics, unless you've really read this stuff, but it also means that they're freed up to create that world again, fresh, which, although... So it's like it swings and roundabouts, because you've got DC going, Batman, Superman, they don't need setting up because everyone knows who Batman, Superman are. But you've also got the problem of, everyone's like, but that's not what I wanted from Batman, Superman. Whereas everyone's coming at Marvel clean, so they can do whatever they want with it.
Yeah.
Really.
But back to the question, it ultimately comes down to the importance of brands.
Yeah.
I mean, if we're still sticking with Marvel movies and stuff,
well, they're a good example of this whole trend, aren't they?
But this, for me, this whole Marvel in general, for me, started with the X-Men cartoon in the early 90s. And I'd never really heard about the X-Men until this X-Men cartoon was mentioned on...
No, I think that was my introduction to it.
Well, it was mentioned on Rolf's Cartoon Club, which we can't really talk about now because Rolf Harris's...
interesting problems, yeah.
But,
we'll steer the fuck away from
the thing is, I'd never heard about the X-Men cartoon until I saw a clip of it on this TV show.
Yeah, okay.
On this art show. And that, for me, was my introduction to Marvel in general. I heard about the cartoon, but that's what I'm talking about with brands and stuff. The only reason I went out and bought an X-Men comic was because I had heard about the X-Men by way of another thing.
Yeah.
So if people have heard about something, example, RoboCop.
Yeah.
Oh, we know that. It's a known brand.
Yeah.
So this is what the movie industry does. It'll latch onto a known brand, and it will make more of that.
Yeah.
Because they don't have to put any effort into getting that name or brand into the public conscious.
No, you don't,
it's already there.
You don't have to spend any money marketing it. People know what it is.
Yeah, so the movie industry is, as it's titled, an industry. It is there to make money.
But then obviously, like, indie films don't set out to make anything that's going to lose.
No, but
their battle is a totally different kind of battle, and you have to have originality because that's what people want from that.
Which is
Any
why
audience that goes to watch those kind of films is after that kind of thing.
Yeah, which is why low-budget films, if you are looking for something original, something which is slightly more daring...
You're seeing exactly the same thing in video games at the moment.
Well, I mean,
exactly the same
most of the games I play at the moment are indie games.
Yeah, everybody loves it because it's so original, so weird, and so strange, and so interesting and different and visually challenging and all those kind of things because they have to be to stand out from everyone else who's doing it.
Well, and
they haven't got the money to do what a AAA studio does.
And in just the same way as all the low-budget horror films copy off Blair Witch and Paranormal Activity and stuff, the indie games, for every Friday night at Five Nights at Freddy's, every Five Nights at Freddy's, there's 1,000 other jump scare indie titles out there. So you've got to wade through the chaff of video games just the same way you've got to wade through the chaff of movies. But if you want something...
the same way that we went through the Angry Birds clone phase. Of like every... Oh man, they made £1 million doing this. I wonder if I will with a cheap version of it that's not as good. Yeah. Logic follows.
So, yeah, I mean, it's exactly the same battle in both mediums. If you want something that is daring and original, the chances are you've got to look towards the lower end of the spectrum in terms of budget.
Yeah. So, like, going back to some of the original questions, it's like, yeah, it is well worth it. It's well worth making your own films.
Oh, yeah.
It's well worth watching people's independent movies. Some of the small, like, science fiction shorts and stuff that are on YouTube, like, you can literally just type in sci-fi short and you'll see like 20, 30 films that are amazing. There's stuff that is incredible on there. There's a really, really good one I saw about a year or so ago. Annoyingly can't remember what it's called. Mm-hmm. But it's about virtual reality, and it dealt with the idea of VR like a drug addiction. But it keeps stripping away layers of reality until by the end you don't know what's real and not anymore. And you don't know whether it's somebody playing a VR game or whether they're a robot dreaming of being a human and all this kind of stuff. And it's like a 5 minute... Yeah, and it's like a 5 minute film on YouTube, and it's like, that is one of the most amazing, like, explorations of identity I've seen in a long time. You know, so I mean, the thing is, that stuff is out there. Stories, good stories are out there. You just got to look in the right place. Mainstream Hollywood ain't doing it.
No. I mean, half the fun is looking for it.
Yeah.
Tracking it down.
That whole thing, we're back to that stuff we had when we were kids, of going, oh man, I caught a bit of a film on TV, and I got to track it down. Like, I don't know what it was called, and things like that. You know, it took me years to find the Burbs. Years.
Yeah, I don't think we caught this bit on tape. We were talking about it just before.
Yeah.
Where the reason it was, we don't get those revelations anymore where we stumble across a film which we just think, this is amazing, I have to tell everyone about it.
Yeah.
Because you get all of this stuff shoved down your throat. Well, all the AAA stuff gets shoved down your throat months, years before it's actually finished.
Yeah, totally.
And that drown that
You didn't get that discovery.
yeah, that sort of white noise drowns out the low budget stuff, which you'll never see on the big screen. It's all straight to DVD.
It's where all the fun is. It's where you get all the stuff of like, wow, that's a great little gem of a movie that nobody else knows about. And you have that fun thing of telling all your friends about it, and and just having found something that's kind of yours.
I mean, this is why I really don't want to see the end of shops like HMV.
No.
The places where you can actually go in and browse the shelves for stuff. Just sort of look through all the covers, think, oh, I haven't seen that. What's that? I mean, most of the stuff in there, if you haven't heard about it, it's because it's old.
Yeah. Like you were talking about The Void. I don't know if we actually caught that on.
No, that was before as well. The Void is a quality horror film. Lovely sort of Lovecraftian.
Yeah.
It feels... what period does it feel like it's from?
It looks really 80s. From the trailers, like really 80s.
It feels like a John Carpenter film.
Yeah, it looks like if John Carpenter directed Hellraiser. That's what I kind of got from the trailer.
If you've seen Prince of Darkness, it's got that kind of air to it. I feel that sort of.
It looks great. I'm really looking
sort of apocalyptic end of the world. It's not an apocalyptic film, but the underlying theme vibe is sort of everything sort of ending and doomed. But it's got that wonderful melancholy grimness to it.
Yeah,
which you only get in indie films. Or low budget film.
It'd be worth us doing a bit more of that, looking at more indie films and like introducing people to them, I guess.
Well, I mean, there's
loads out there that we've seen that are good, and people just don't know.
We've got our favourites, like pretty much anything by John Carpenter is quality.
Yeah.
I mean, we've tried introducing people to a couple of things before through YouTube, our YouTube herblings.
Yeah. I did mention Grave Encounters and that I tried to watch the sequel to Grave Encounters and failed.
Grave Encounters is one of those series which I stumbled across on YouTube.
Yeah.
There was a period where I was sort of just raking around on YouTube trying to find any old crappy movies which people had uploaded there in full.
There are a vast amount.
Simply so I can have it. I mean, before I got Netflix and stuff, it was a good way of just having a bit of white noise whilst I was doing my work.
Yeah, totally. Kind of still is, and I still do it. You can find some wonderful, 80s straight-to-video.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, that's the kind of stuff I was always looking for.
Stuff. It's just horrendous.
Because, I mean, I distinctly remember a lot of low-budget stuff being around in the 80s.
Although, weirdly, I found one the other day when I was looking for something shit to watch, and I haven't watched it yet. But it's got Jennifer Connelly in it, and... oh, God, what's his name? The guy who played the detective in Halloween... Not the detective, the psychiatrist.
Oh, yeah, I know the guy. Donald Pleasance.
Yeah, Donald Pleasance. He's in it, and it's called Creeper or something. And she looks really young. So it must have been one of her first ever
No idea
films.
what that was.
Yeah, I know. I'm going to have to watch it. Because it's like, wow, you've actually got
Creeper.
Actors in it. Yeah.
Yeah, because, I mean, if actually...
It's like, holy shit.
It could be Donald Pleasance.
I know, there's a scene with her in this office with Donald Pleasance. So I was like, is that Jennifer Connelly? I was like, that is. And then it cut to Donald Pleasance. So I was like, holy shit. Wow, this has got a cast. It's like, wow.
Oh, on the subject of actors, spotting actors young and stuff. Oh, what's the name of the guy who plays Superman at the moment?
Henry Cavill.
Yeah. I was watching Count of Monte Cristo, and there's a kid in that. And I was so that kid looks like Superman. I looked in the credits, and it's Henry Cavill.
Wow.
This young Henry Cavill looking like this complete gormless idiot.
I was rewatching the original Battlestar Galactica from the 70s.
Uh-huh.
And Randy Quaid is in an episode.
What, really?
Yeah. Doing an Irish accent as well. It's like some kind of dodgy sort of bootlegger. And I was like, is that Randy Quaid? And I Googled it and managed to find it. It was him. There was he wasn't, I don't think he's credited as being in it, but there was a screenshot with him, and it was Randy Quaid. I was like, holy shit. He was 20 or something, if that.
Oh.
Mental.
Dude that played Deadpool. I can't believe I've forgotten his name as well.
Ryan
Reynolds, yeah. He was in the X-Files.
Really?
Yeah. He didn't last long, and he looked like he weighed quite a bit. He looked a bit chunky.
Really?
Yeah.
How bizarre.
You wouldn't have thought it. But he played this school jock character.
No way.
Who gets offed by a witch or something. in the opening.
Amazing.
You know,
in
the
the
opening
sort of
bit.
pre-credit
I
sequence.
think you only see him once after that, and he's a body. But yeah,
It's like that really famous thing of like Jim Carrey before he was famous, where he just plays like a dead rock star in an episode of Quincy or something like that. Like they go into this caravan and there's this body lying there, and it's just Jim Carrey. He's like died from an overdose or something. Like before anybody knew who he was. Fucking brilliant.
I just hope he was sprawled out on the floor in exactly the same way he was sprawled out on the runway in Dumb and Dumber. You know, his little arms and legs going in the wrong direction. Or before they were famous stuff.
No.
It's when they crop up in. It's when famous faces or faces that you know now are famous.
Yeah.
And you go back and watch movies which you're already familiar with, and you didn't realise at the time.
Yeah.
They were in it.
Yeah, totally.
Like
Holy
they
shit,
just
is
did it
that
for a
guy? Standing 3 feet to the left of the main character.
Yeah, the dude that played Leonidas in 300, Scottish dude, he's in Tomorrow Never Dies.
Oh, yeah.
For about 5 seconds at the start.
Yeah.
He's one of the crew on the ship that gets sunk.
But he's in one of the Tomb Raider movies as well.
Yeah,
He's like the love interest.
He's in
one
the
of the Tomb Raider
second
films.
one. Because it's...
I just remember watching and going, holy shit. And they also get that weird thing of going, you're older than I think you are, aren't you? It's like you've been around a lot longer than you'd let anyone know. Because this film's like, what, 30 years old?
well, the thing is, it's Daniel Craig is the love interest in the first Tomb Raider film.
That's right.
But he's playing an American. So you got you got the American playing the British aristocrat, and you got the Brit playing the American adventure. Hollywood.
The Tomb Raider films, I can't.
They're really bad.
They really do suck.
I
know we've mentioned this before. I think it's in that one that you uploaded onto DeviantArt.
Yeah, they're really not good.
Oh shit.
I mean, I've always really liked the Tomb Raider games and stuff. Well, again, we're treading past ground here, but
it's not to like. Do you know what I mean? The idea of it's like Indiana Jones.
It's pulp adventure.
Yeah, exactly. It's like there's nothing to go wrong with.
It's quintessentially 90s.
I just hated their interpretation of the character. Anyway, yeah, we are trundling over ground.
The thing was, it was very 90s, and I'm starting to... I don't want to say feel nostalgic about the 90s, but appreciate it had a style of its own, which up until now I didn't appreciate.
Yeah, I think that's 100% true.
This goes back to what I was saying about movie posters. Movie posters from the 90s feel very different to what they do now.
But like I said to you, like I went to CNEX and I bought Speed for like 75p or something. It was like the collector's edition double disc thing. And I was like, I didn't have Speed. I was like, why did I not have Speed?
I don't think I've got Speed.
And it was there, and I was like, I need that because it's such a great film.
I don't think I've got it yet. I think it's on the TV often, and I haven't bothered with it.
Yeah, and I rewatched it because I thought it's been years since I watched this.
I need to take your phone. Holds up this brick.
And I was just like, I was shocked that like they just how well balanced 90s action movies were, and how important those limitations of like money and resources and everything kind of were. It's like, even though it was a massive budget film, there's only like 5 or 6 major stunt sequences in it, and the rest of the film is filled out with acting and plot development and characterization and all this kind of, and you know, and all those kind of things. And then you get like an action sequence that's like really well staged and well filmed. Whereas now it just feels like, because we can, you just fill every minute with like non-stop shit blowing up.
I don't think it's.
I think that was one of the things I took away from the Guardians film, the new one, compared to the first one. In the first one, it feels like you have an action sequence and then a break, and it sort of chills down, and you have characterization and a quiet bit, and then you have another big action sequence, and whereas like the new one just felt like it was going from one like big load of explosions to another load of gunfight and big load of explosions. And the problem with that is not necessarily your adrenaline, but your excitement level goes up and it just stays there. And it's just tiring. It's just like, You can't stay excited for that long. It's like what you said about the end of Transformers: Dark of the Moon. It's like it's just too much going on for too long. You just stop caring, and I think there's problems with that in modern cinema.
I don't want to say it's tiring. I think it's boring.
Yeah,
it's boredom.
I think that's
because
kind of the same thing as what I'm trying to say.
For me, Guardians of the Galaxy 2 took a nosedive as soon as they got to Ego, as soon as they got to the planet, because everything became CG.
Yeah.
In the same way that the prequels of Star Wars, they take a nosedive every time everything becomes CG.
Yeah, it's true.
If something is filmed but with a real backdrop, basically, if something is filmed in reality, rather than saying, right, this is a green screen, everything we'll put in post, you can see right through that now. It detracts from it because the actors don't know what's there. They come across in their performance. Whereas in something like Speed, or any 90s film really, they're still limited as to what they can put on screen because they're limited by reality.
Yeah, and they're standing on that bus.
Yeah,
it's trundling along, and people that are in
on
that
it,
scene
under it,
are
through it,
around it.
Those are all real people. They're stunt people, but they're real people.
Yeah.
So the thrill is there of seeing something that is to be real. Now CG can be done really well to the point of it being indistinguishable from reality. But the thing is, with all the outlandish stuff like in Guardians of the Galaxy, it becomes too much.
Yeah. I think I genuinely agree.
It starts to be like looking at a video game sequence.
Yeah. There's so much you can engage with it because at the back of your mind you always know it's not real. It's not really happening.
Well, I think they could do. I think they could do it well if they stopped trying to show us everything. If they created these backdrops and still filmed it in the same way that they would film reality.
Yeah, there's something I want to say about that because this thought occurred to me the other day. I was watching NCIS.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a sequence where they're coming back from a mission and they're on like a Hercules transport plane. And it's a real Hercules transport plane. They've just filmed it. And the way it was shot was like the camera shot kind of cut off a bit of the nose and a bit of the tail and everything. It was just an intro shot.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, if that was CG, we'd have just flown the camera all the way round it and done this big move. But because it's real, they just go, just film it. And it's like, if you just shot effects like they were really there, like it's no big deal, it would look far more real. So I completely agree with what you're saying there.
So it's not so much. Yeah, it's not so much the CG. It's not so much the fault of the CG. It's how the CG.
It's how it's approached. It's like, we spent loads of money on this. We've got to show it off.
So if you spend like hours of a film zooming through an artificial a virtual reality planet, as they do in Guardians of the Galaxy 2, you just lose. It stops being interesting. It stops being special because they're trying to show you everything.
Yeah, it stops being spectacular as well. It's like if you look at some of the most iconic shots in the original Star Wars film, like that shot where Luke walks out into the planet and just stands looking at the sunset.
Yeah.
It's just a flat horizon with two suns.
Well, that's just Tunisia. They just docked in the sun.
But it looks fucking amazing, and it's one of the most arresting moments in the film.
So much so that they used it.
So iconic.
Well, they used it again at the end of Revenge of the Sith. That was that's how they bookended that.
It's just so beautiful, and it just doesn't need anything more than that.
You got the music and you got the visual. Yeah. So it's filming something as though it is real. There weren't two suns there. There was just one sun. They just put in another one.
And it's it's stuff like that. It's like, stop trying to make everything special, because when everything is special, nothing.
Back to Brad Bird again. Bravo, Mr. Bird.